A beautiful morning to everybody else. And my dudes, I think Sil Abdul, shout out to you. Shout out to War Stew. Um, Shout out to every single person out there. Truth 31, Prime, Zod Rider, etc., etc., etc. Now I'm going to address this once and for all. I'm going to address it as it is. The Snyderverse is going to be restored. One of the things I think a lot of people don't get, and y'all could say what you want about me, I'm going to say it. Not because I'm just speaking it into existence, but because I'm watching what's progressing. And I know there are things happening behind the scenes. And nothing is as it seems, and there's a reason why things are progressing the way they are progressing. I'm not trying to give people a false sense of hope. I understand the reality of the situation, and we discussed it with Prime on his channel, and I shared the information from Prime's channel. I understand the situation very well. In fact, it is very simple to break down the situation of what's happening. If it was just Zack Snyder alone, himself, all alone in the midst of this dark hole, Warner Brothers is holding him back, then I would not be speaking with this optimism and certainty as I do. Zack Snyder's not alone. It's not just Zack Snyder, the fans, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, etc. No, this is much more than that. Okay? And you guys have seen it. Y'all have seen there's a war inside of Warner Media. Y'all have seen it. Warner Brothers UK, AT&T, Warner Brothers Ireland, Warner Brothers Italy, Warner Brothers India and Asia. You've seen them, and you've seen the sentiments they've put out concerning Zack Snyder's Justice League, concerning Henry Cavill, concerning the Ayer cut, concerning how they discussed the Snyder cut in investors' meetings. John Stankley, Jason Kilar. You know, behind the scenes, Zack Snyder has support from people. But the obstacle keeping Zack Snyder from seeing the light of day with the Snyder cut is from Toby Emmerich and Sarnoff and Walter Hamada and people who support that point of view, who may not even be there, like Kevin Tsuchihara, Jeff Johns, those people. Now, let me just make it abundantly clear to you guys that that school of thought has not produced results that are positive. Let's start with Walter Hamada. Aquaman might have happened when Walter Hamada was the head of DC Films, but Aquaman is not a win for Walter Hamada. Aquaman was in production way before Walter Hamada was on the scene, and Aquaman was also, James Wan also consulted Zack Snyder, the guy he was originally, came into being to produce this film for. And so Walter Hamada doesn't get a win off of Aquaman as much as people want to give him a win. That is actually as a result of some events that transpired before Walter Hamada came on the scene. Walter Hamada's first win was Shazam. Walter Hamada cannot claim a win for Joker. That again was put in place before Walter Hamada came on the scene which is why Walter Hamada and Toby Emmerich were not in support of it and did not fund it. Okay? So, once again, they can't take credit for that. Walter Hamada can take credit for Shazam. He can take credit for Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey. And he can take credit for the Wonder Woman 84 movie. He's not taking credit for the Snyder Cut because he had nothing to do with it. And Warner Brothers had nothing to do with that property. They didn't invest in it or anything like that. I think the lot was used at a certain point in time. But other than that, there was no money invested into that. No money was put into the Snyder Cut. Okay? Now, if you want to be mopey and pessimistic and you want to be negative, that's on you. I'm not trying to be mopey, pessimistic, and negative, but I'm also giving you facts. And for those who want to say, well, you know, you're lying, whatever, I'm not lying. I've seen the same thing with Sil Abdul when he said that. I've seen the same thing with Warstu when he said it. I've seen the same thing with people who have been consistently saying this thing's been in motion since 2020. And all you have to do is pay attention to what transpired in 2020. We talked about it on Prime's show. Now, just because we say restore the Snyderverse, don't expect Justice League Part 2 next year. That's just unrealistic. Just because I say the Snyderverse will be brought back step by step, this is not something I'm alone saying. Sil's been saying it. Okay? It's going to be brought back step by step. It's not just going to be brought back just like that. And again, another thing worth people noting is that doesn't mean you have to get rid of the Hamadaverse. Whatever Walter Hamada wants to do, if his projects fail by the Flash, that's on him. But quite frankly, he has to get his chance to play out the thing how he wants to play it out. It's only fair. Now, from what I heard on the panel, and I never took into account, was that Walter Hamada is not going to be in charge of the Black Adam movie. I just heard that's not under his purview per se. He has no real creative anything saying that. He's not supposed to have creative say in Matt Reeves' Batman either. So Matt Reeves' Batman is technically a Walter Hamada thing. He's going to be writing off on it, but actually Jeff Johns and the thing they did was before Hamada really had any say on those matters. Hamada came after all of that. So people are saying, well, Toby Emmerich's going to get the axe. Yes, he's going to get the axe. They're going to kick him out. And he's not just a scapegoat, because the major impediment to the Snyder Cut is Toby Emmerich and his regime. He is the last of the Jeff Johns regime that has been in Warner Brothers Pictures. And he's the last guy trying to stop Zack Snyder officially. Ann Sarnoff, yes, she was trained by Kevin Tsuchihara and all of that, but she's like an ancillary. She's kind of like outside of the purview. Same thing for Walter Hamada. These guys are really outside of that purview. They don't have any particular vindictive vendetta. They have a similar mindset because they've been hired, and probably mentored under guys that have similar mindsets, but they have nothing to do. They don't have any personal vendetta against Zack Snyder per se, okay, and wanting him to fail. So from that perspective, it's Toby Emmerich who right now is holding up most of what is happening. It's not this big, all of Warner Brothers is against Zack Snyder and blah, 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 blah. It's not like that. Okay. When Zack Snyder says Warner Brothers doesn't want me to carry out my vision, he's talking about Toby Emmerich. I mean, this is not rocket science, people. Okay? And AT&T is phasing him out. They've shown him the door already. It's up to him if he wants to accelerate that process and leave quickly or slowly, but they're putting pressure on him to get him out. And they've been putting pressure on him. If you've been watching the trades, if you've been following the events, they've been putting pressure on him successively more and more and more. And we are putting pressure on him as well. He's getting pressure from every turn. That's why you saw that trade put out what it put out. But you guys chose to go with the Black Superman stuff. But it's obvious what is going on. Toby is seeing the last of his days with Warner Brothers. He's going to get kicked out. He's not going to New Line Cinema or anything. He's trying to find a place to go. But pretty much they don't want him anywhere. This is the long and short of it. Okay? Just pay attention, man. Once he's gone, this whole narrative, this whole anti-Snyder stuff is going to disappear. AT&T's cleaning slate. And if you guys haven't paid attention, why are we getting all of these pieces in the media? I kept on asking people, why is it that we're seeing more and more people speaking out and the trades picking up? Why is the trades getting more and more sort of pro-Snyder, sort of arguing against? Because it's not because the trades are convinced. It's because also, just as how Warner Brother Pictures can put things out there, so can the umbrella body, AT&T. I'm not saying AT&T is exclusively doing that, obviously not. But clearly, they're giving a thumbs up to anybody and supporting anyone who now comes out and starts speaking about what actually is going on in Warner Brothers. They're not going to stop them from doing that. Whereas Warner Brothers wants to take action and stuff, and there's AT&T. It's above Warner Brothers. There's an umbrella above Warner Brothers, giving people a certain leeway. This is what I'm trying to say. And I'm surprised that the fans can't pick up on this stuff. I mean, I thought that you guys would be able to see this as fans. This is the stuff going on in the background. And no matter what spin, and that's why I keep on putting out these articles about spin and what's happening in trades. Now, here's some of the facts of the matter. Let's start dropping some facts here. Okay. Prime's, again, I have a lot of respect for Prime. I don't agree with him that, there's no chance that the Snyderverse will be restored. That's his opinion. We all have different opinions. But the one thing I can say is he comes from a factual basis. And for me, it's not emotions and I don't play that. If anybody who knows my channel, and I can talk and rant and rave and all of that, and don't get twisted by my appearance either. But I'm an analytical kind of person myself. Sometimes I get my facts wrong. Like, for example, there's a lot of facts, stuff that I overinflated and stuff because I didn't do my homework properly. But having said all of that, here are some facts. Hard facts. 2017, Toby Emmerich was assisted by AT&T, was assisted by all of Warner Brothers, and they facilitated him in his vision under him of the version of Justice League that came out. It was a tremendous flop. I'm not going to say that, what's the word I want to use, that it was a complete and utter loss in that they lost Warner Brothers money, but they just barely, if anything, broke even. But it was tremendous flop. It was supposed to gross over $1 billion at least, and it did not do that. Okay? Right. That's how Toby Emmerich's his reign and his regime began. And since 2017, Toby Emmerich has been, under his leadership, Warner Brothers Pictures has been constantly losing market share. Constantly. To this very day, they're still losing market share. Okay? Because of the poor direction and the inappropriate investments that they have put their monies into. Instead of investing and pushing for Joker probably could have made tons more money if Toby Emmerich had invested in Joker. They withheld funds from that. And then you hear the people say, but who was to know that Joker would be such a success? Well, let's see. You got an Academy-nominated actor in that movie. Got a very good director. I don't see why not. I was buzz about it for a long time. And even though I myself at first was like, why are they having another Joker movie? For an executive who's supposed to be able to make financial decisions, it is critical that you understand what your product is. You have to have faith in your product. This is business 101. If you don't have faith in your own product, you can't sell it. Okay, so let's get to it. IPs. The IP was the Joker. Okay, the IP was the Joker. Warner Brothers, all of us universally understand Warner Brothers doesn't know what to do with their IPs. These are facts. These are facts. Let's be real. They don't know what to do with their IPs. The current regime, particularly. And as a result of that, listen to me. This is where it gets real. While we as fans, the executives don't pay attention to us per se, they see us as annoying, they must pay attention to their investors. They must. That is where they get their money. That's where they get their jobs. IPs are the thing that helps your company gain market share or not. Listen to me. You guys got to listen, because there's a lot of times when you guys just don't get it. Yes, we're fans, but we have a role in this whole thing. We have a role, and it is a strategic role. So let me explain to you guys how simple this goes. IPs either get really enhanced or they're degraded. That is to say, an IP may look attractive or it may not. And the role of that IP is based on the demand for the IP. Demand for the IP. We all know Zack Snyder's Snyder Cut, there's a demand for the Snyder Cut. The IP that's out there now, there's a demand for it. I want you to understand how this connects to AT&T investors. I have bypassed the fans, but the fans do play a role in how an IP market share goes up or down. Demand. If you're thinking boxing, a guy does a great performance, people want to see the person again, his market share, his price value goes up. If fans don't want to see that person, they don't want to hear about him anymore, his market share goes down. He could even win the fight. Goes down. Okay? Fans have a place in business. We bring the excitement. We bring the fever. And it is us, the core fan base, that really pushes good word of mouth. The Snyder Cut wasn't bashed by critics, wasn't beaten down by the general audience, because the fans were fiercely and passionately showing why this IP was so important. And we did it for 4 years. And it brewed up an expectation for it. And the hashtag release the Snyder Cut became something because of the fans. It wasn't because of the general audience. That is where I and Prime disagree. Prime says that the executives think about the general audience. The general audience doesn't care about things. No, the fans make a difference. Even with Joker. I wasn't a big fan of Joker, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like, wow. Because an IP, Joker's a tremendous IP, right? Joker's a tremendous IP. But if there's a couple other points I haven't made, but if the fans don't have a good track history with the IP has to shine itself. If you're coming off a big win, let's take, for example, Wonder Woman 84. Okay? Wonder Woman 84 came off of a big win. It came off of Wonder Woman. So the next solo project with Wonder Woman, fans wanted to see it. Fans. The general audience too, but fans particularly of Wonder Woman, they validate the IP. Yes, the general audience also loved Wonder Woman, don't get me wrong. And that also helped to boost Wonder Woman 84's uh, um, initial run. It peaked off, and then people was like, it's just not as great as the other one, and it kind of died off. But the point is, people went to see Wonder Woman 84 because of what Wonder Woman had done. And they were looking for something like that. And that's the point. That's why I even went and saw it. Even though I wasn't convinced, I still went and saw it because I said, Patty Jenkins, great director. Look what she did with Wonder Woman. Okay? Now, the point behind it is, yes, the fans have their place in the IP world. And like I'm saying before, Walter Hamada, looking at Walter Hamada, factually speaking, he needs a big win. He's going to get it with Suicide Squad because James Wan is a hell of a, not James Wan, James Gunn is a hell of a director. He's going to get a win there. How much of a big win, I don't know. But he's going to get a big win with James Gunn. It's going to be rated R. James Gunn's going to pull out all his stops, do his James Gunny thing. He's going to go for broke, and they're going to do well. Okay, that's going to be Walter Hamada's first big win. Okay, but the point behind it is that his next thing after that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is either Super Pets. I think Super Pets comes after. And that, again, it could be a good win based off of what James Wan's Suicide Squad does. He could be coming off of that high. It depends. The thing about it is with the Hamadaverse is, I know we talk about Hamada burgers and everything. I'm not against anybody's concept of a universe. CW, I don't say the CW should never exist. I don't particularly care for the CW, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. There is an audience for that. Similarly, for the Hamadaverse, now we've got an extra universe there. I'm not against the Hamadaverse. Once it exists, let it exist. There's nothing wrong with that. My thing is, and will continue to be, that the Snyderverse can exist. This is what Chris Wong also agrees with. It can exist. And maybe it won't exist fully and always in the theatrical release of things, but it can exist. And it could be, there will be theatrical runs, but I believe that the Snyderverse particularly, I think it should go along lines where there's least resistance to it. Picochet says Super Pets sounds stupid when we don't have the Super Pet owners. Exactly. I mean, if you're thinking of it from a logical perspective, none of this seems to make sense. If you think of it from like Prime says, an executive perspective, to them, these things make sense. Because one, most of these executives are not really deeply entrenched into fandom. They're not necessarily fans themselves. They're there to make money. Okay. But let's get back to it. So Walter Hamada, Super Pets. Okay, fine. Whatever happens with that happens. He's not necessarily looking for big wins with Super Pets. And then he has the Flash movie. We'll see how that goes. And he also has, in his universe, under his charge, he has Matt Reeves, the Batman. Hopefully they're not tampering with that. That's not necessarily his win. Matt Reeves is not his guy. That was somebody Jeff Johns brought in, the previous regime. Okay. And Jeff Johns tweaked also. Truth 31 says Super Pets has the future of DC. And all I was saying is that shout out to the Truth, by the way. Shout out to my boy Pick Shades in the building. What's up, my brother? Yeah, so I was saying that these things that are coming forward, Super Pets, and then I think we're going to have Aquaman 2, or we got The Flash, and I think Aquaman 2 and Wonder Woman 3 come somewhere in there. Now, all of this stuff is Walter Hamada stuff, right? Now, it'll be under Walter Hamada. Now, the thing about it is, what I'm trying to say to people, and Walter Hamada, he knows Tony Eric from New Line Cinema, right? Now, my thing is, I'm not against Walter Hamada, like I said before, in terms of he has a vision, he's out there, he's trying to do a universe. Fine. Nobody's saying don't do it. I'm never going to tell somebody don't do something. You want to have a black Superman? Have at it. Nobody's stopping you from having a black Superman. You want a black Clark Kent in the 20th century, yeah, like you said, and raise whatever. Okay. But here's my thing. Do not try to erase the foundation of what you're now building upon and say, oh, we're retconning that. And this is what we're giving you. Don't do that. And that's what they're trying to say to the fans. Because the fans do play a role in this thing. So facts, Walter Hamada, so far, he has struck out on 2 movies, Wonder Woman 84, and he struck out on Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey. Okay, he struck out on both of them. I think Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey just barely made its money back. But with Wonder Woman 84, at least theatrically speaking, it was a bomb. It busted. It hasn't even made its money back. Production money. Okay. So that was a bust. And Patty's kind of pissed, and understandably so. So some of the directors are really pissed about the situation. So what I'm saying is Walter Hamada, he right now, he ain't really doing too well, right? Shazam, was at least, they said it made 3 times its money, but it really didn't make the money that we expected a family movie to make, the way how they hyped it and everything. But hey, it made some money, so good for Shazam. But the other 2 movies did not make money theatrically. You could say that Wonder Woman 84 made some money through HBO Max, but not necessarily the money that they were expecting, like to make it a success, a tremendous success. Wonder Woman, the last time around, made $800 million, more than $800 million worldwide. And domestically, it made like 300 million or something. It didn't make anywhere near those numbers. Nowhere near. And they're trying to use COVID and say, oh, but COVID is what? No. That's not the reason. Okay. But it was successful. Don't get me wrong. Streaming wise, it did quite well. Streaming wise, it was very successful streaming wise. What are the streaming wise numbers? They gave some early numbers and projections and stuff. I don't know what, I mean, Zack Snyder's Justice League blew away Wonder Woman streaming numbers in Brazil. It blew away Wonder Woman's numbers in the UK. It blew away Wonder Woman's numbers in Canada. I guess it blew away Wonder Woman's numbers in China, and so on and so on and so on. So, only in the US it did not blow away, apparently. I don't know how true this is. This is only from a third-party source, which was Smart TV guys. What is its name? I forgot what the name of it is. The people who have smart TVs. And you do understand, you're eliminating all the other digital media. What I mean by that is some people will watch a movie on their smart TVs. I, for example, did not watch Zack Snyder's Justice League on a smart TV. I watched it on my phone. Some people watch it on their iPad, and they watch it repeatedly on the iPad. Some people watched it on their other apparatus, where you're not using a television screen. Gone were the days when television was something that was the standard thing. No. Now people use monitors and they use all kinds of different things. So it's one thing to talk about tracking smart televisions and households, but you're not really getting true figure. Especially when I looked at the numbers for peer-to-peer tracking for Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's much higher than when you're just dealing alone with smart TVs. I think they call it OO something, whatever. So if you're putting up on a some people use projectors and they project it up on the screen. So you have to really, you're not tracking everything. Let's just put it that way. And so with respect to Walter Hamada, this is why I said, factually speaking, the jury's out on him. Okay. Ann Sarnoff, similarly, the jury's out on her. Even though she's not started it off very well, her first statement is to try to end the Snyder Cut and also to end any possibility of the Ayer cut coming to fruition. That was her first statements, and to call the fandom toxic. At least, no. Let me be a little fair to her. Okay, the question was asked if the fans, are being, they're constantly attacking, reporters and attacking executives. She responded to that. Okay. So to be fair to her, but she did use the word toxic and said it's not going to be tolerated. And it's understandable. Okay. But nonetheless, so that we don't go into emotions all the way through, we must always give people the benefit of the doubt. Nonetheless, she hasn't really been involved in the toxicity of Warner Brothers back in 2017. And that would have been the only person who was not removed from that situation was Toby Emmerich. And clearly Toby Emmerich has been actively trying to undermine the release of the Snyder Cut from since that time. And also, he's been seeking to now undermine the restoration of the Snyderverse. So he's constantly been trying his best to do that. And I guess Aaron Sarnoff had to fall in line, and Walter Hamada as well. All right, so those are facts, though. Toby Emmerich. I remember Robert, what's his name? He sometimes is on the stream with the guy who said the Snyder Cut doesn't exist. He said it was a pipe dream. What's his name? Shit. They used to be on Collider. Robert, not Meyer, is it Robert? Oh, I forgot his name. Oh, that's terrible. And I forgot the other guy's name with the glasses and whatever. But I want to say that Robert Meyer said it best. He said Toby does not want the Snyder Cut to come out because it would remind them of how a royal mess up they did. And clearly the Snyder Cut is superior to that. And I'm going to give you guys some very full holistic numbers from China. Obviously, the Snyder Cut has crossed 300 million on Migu Video, which is a streaming service in China. There are several streaming services. There are a lot of streaming services in China. I couldn't get the Bilibili numbers, but I did get the Migu numbers. I did get the Youku numbers. I did get the Youku, the Migu, and I believe I got the what's the other one? I'm trying to remember what the other one is. It'll come to me. All right. I had from free streaming sites. I'm looking to get 4 and 5. There's a lot of streaming sites out there, and they're more or less similar in structure. Bilibili's more like, for example, YouTube, Youku, Migu, and what was the other one? How come I forgot the one's name? That's weird. Just kind of like forgot it. It'll come to me. Oh yeah, Tencent. Right. So Tencent, Migu, and Youku, they all rhyme. They are all like kind of like Netflix. You can like actually order movies on them and stuff. Kind of more like Netflix. So and then Bilibili, I still haven't been able to track down where you get to purchase things on Bilibili. I know you can purchase games on it. I've been looking up all kinds of information about it. My numbers were way inflated, by the way. It wasn't like $400 million you made in China. What I found out is, so the Chinese have what is called yuan, right? Y-U-A-N. So if you, for example, got a VIP status, there's different levels of VIP status. You could purchase it for different amounts of yuan. And it's really interesting. The Chinese don't pay as much for streaming movies as we do in the Western world, like in the UK or the US or as some other Western country. So they don't pay as much as us. So for example, you could have, depending on what level of VIP status you have and how much you pay into that, you can have up to like more than a month of streaming where you get all kinds of perks. You can actually share free videos with other people. You can, I mean, it's really crazy. So that the views don't necessarily always reflect the purchases. Okay, it's a bit inflated. So, for example, Tencent literally sort of gives you a good reflection. So I think it's at 25 million right now on Tencent, 25 million plays. which is like almost 25 million um, payments or views. But there's different formats for different things and how people pay. But with Tencent, you're actually paying in, but some of it is subsidized. You get like a discount. So if you're paying for a movie, for example, usually you pay in something like around two US. Yeah, it's like really cheap, like 2 US. You're paying for a movie. I was doing my homework on it, and you can get discounts. Like if you for example VIP status or whatever, you might get half price for a particular movie or whatever. But you do pay in, and the duration of time varies with the level of VIP you have. And like if you pay in, probably you paying $2 maybe for a day or 2 days, it may be for a week. So it varies depending on what service you're on, what streaming service, whatever. But even so, those numbers are monstrous. What I mean by that is, for example, 25 million plays. If that translates to 25 million buys, it depends on the service and all of that. And there's a lot of variables. But let's just say 25 million, right? At $2, that's $50 million right there. That's big money. That's a lot of money. It's streaming we're talking about here, and streaming services are emerging. It's emerging in China as well. Like the biggest Chinese streaming services right now in the head, at least we know in the Western world, because China's different to us, and they may have bigger streaming services like that. For example, Migu, that nobody's really picking up on the Western world. They're kind of like way behind, even though 2021, like Migu's there. Like Migu's real Chinese. Like you can't get the app. Like you can't download the app as a Westerner. You know what I mean? So, there are different things there. And but you know who would be really good to talk to this about? But again, I don't know if she can, because she really took a risk to be on Twitter, because they're not supposed to be use Twitter from China. Fiona Zhang. So we haven't heard from Fiona for a while, and she kind of just like took the risk and used her. She did her Fidangle thing, and she got to the she got to the U.S. It's really interesting, man. China's different. Like China's kind of cool. As I started looking into China and the Chinese stuff, and yeah, they're communists and all of that, but they're kind of cool. They really are. The people kind of cool in China. I'm not gonna lie. Like, don't talk politics. But other than that, it's kind of cool how the people kind of work out situations and they figure out things. Anyways, so back to what I was saying, because yes, so with Tencent, for example, there's 25 million right now plays in Tencent, which is really, that's awesome. Okay, and then on Migu, so you see 300 million plays, right? 300 million plays. Now that is the movie itself. Now, see, because it's like a lot of things for me to say, but I'm gonna try and break it down so you guys can understand the details of it. And probably I'll do a video on it that's pretty short, and I'll give you examples. So, for example, on Migu or on Tencent or on Youku, let's go with Migu first. Migu, 300 million plays. Yeah, okay. All those plays are not buys. Okay, they're not. All right, because once again, you can pay for a movie and watch it multiple times, right? And depending on the duration, so Migu doesn't have necessarily VIP, but I don't know all the details because I can't get into the app. I can get into a version of the app that gives me like TV shows from China and Asia and that kind of stuff, but I can't really get in their movies, but I can't get the app where I can actually look at things from their perspective, from what they use in China, and then see how they get like foreign, like Hollywood stuff into there and stuff. I think, but the app, the website has it. I can't get the app. So the thing about it is with Migu, and it's all in Chinese. I had to like translate and then try and figure out what's going on here. So, but basically with Migu, what's going on is you purchase the stuff, and literally the prices are on. I believe it was Migu. Yes, I think it was Migu. No, it wasn't Migu. It was Migu. No, that was Youku. Okay, but on Migu, you see there's a like a button you have to click. Okay, and that gets you to the app. And once you download the app, then you can go ahead and purchase in there, and you have to purchase. Okay. So these things are kind of like a purchase thing. You're kind of semi-subsidized. And so, okay. So 300 million plays sounds tremendous, but I think it's more like 40 million plays, 50 million, 40 million purchases, 50 million purchases. It's kind of like that. I think it's more like that. With Youku is really an Alibaba. It's really an Alibaba. For those of you who see Alibaba online, it's really an Alibaba sort of owned app, and it's one of the oldest streaming platforms out there. Okay, it was before YouTube blew up. It was there, and I guess YouTube probably got the idea from there, and Netflix and all these guys got the ideas from China, because this is where it came from. And basically, with Youku, which is it's now kind of in between Alibaba and whatever, it is Youku basically shows you the prices. So okay, if you're going to just pay for it without VIP status, it's I think it was like what was it? I think it was somewhere around 12 yang, 12 yang. I hope I'm pronouncing that word correct. Yang, about 12 yang for it. But if you had a VIP status, it'd be like 6 yang. So, and that explains it. And then they show you all the VIP. I don't know what these figures are. It's like VIP. You see VIP on underneath. You see like 5,000 something. They show you the VIP status. I'm not quite sure what that is. But in short, I got to find out, like, okay, this is around the price at which they pay for these things. So that's how I kind of know. And of course, a yang is equivalent to, I think it's like 6 yang is equal to 1 US. So you just do your translations and you see, oh, this is how much they're paying for it, blah, 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 blah. And so the 300 million is more like 40, 50 million, which kind of is more like, what you saw with, for example, the Youku, not the Youku, the Tencent, right? What you saw on Tencent. Tencent's a little lower, but it's climbing up, and they're climbing up the charts as they move. You see the rankings as well. You can see the rankings for certain films and movies. There's some Chinese films, Chinese movies. Apparently, the Chinese like the guy that plays Jason Bourne a lot. So Matt Damon's films do well in China for some reason. So basically, that's what I got with those platforms. So you take that core data. So anybody telling you, oh, well, because they talk about the Reddit article which says that, oh, these things, you're looking at trailers, and you're looking at that trailers are included in the views, and these things are not real, they're fake. It's bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit. All right. What would I tell you? What I can tell you is the views, like for instance on Youku, was it Youku? Yeah, or was it Tencent? I can't remember which one. I think it was Tencent or Youku. I can't remember which one it is. I have the data there. On Tencent or Youku, what you end up with is, and it'll all make sense when I show you guys. Unfortunately, I'm streaming and I can't show you anything. But on Tencent and Youku, what you see is, you see if it's a trailer, you'll see trailer. And it won't have any like click button for you to use the app to pay in. So it's free. So for example, Infinity War, I think it was on Youku. I think it was Youku. Was it? No, it wasn't Youku. It wasn't Youku. It was Tencent. On Tencent, you see Infinity War with like Infinity War had like what was it? 200 million views, right? But it was a trailer, right? And then with Endgame, they had Endgame, but it was a VIP special. So you could actually gift other people, 5 other people. You could gift 5 other people the movie for free. So it had tremendous numbers. It had 210 million numbers. And here's the funny thing. Justice League, the 2017 version, it's gonna sound funny, but it was actually put up on the streaming service for free, like absolutely for free, and it blew. Everybody watched it. It was like 310 million plays. 310 million plays. I was like watching that this on Tencent. I'm like, what's going on here? And it was even rated higher. Rated higher than Zack Snyder's Justice League. Justice was, what is it, 7.8, I think it is. And that thing was 8.0. And I get it. People got to see it for free. So they actually did it for free. Whereas Zack Snyder's Justice League right now, people are paying to see it. Right? So it's pretty interesting. I was watching this stuff like, what is going on here? But yeah, so basically in China, their system is a little bit different to ours, but more or less the same. And their streaming services are more, they look more like a YouTube thing or like they don't look like Netflix, but they do look like a YouTube thing. They're all structured kind of like a YouTube. You have the search bar on top and then all these videos, just a lot of videos, a lot of videos. It looks like all of them look like if you're on YouTube, and they have like stuff that's kind of like YouTube, kind of YouTube-ish, but the way actually work your way around them and actually like you gotta like use Google Translate all the time, so like to change the page so you can see the English of the page. Like they're really into football and they're really into basketball in China. It's really interesting, but. And not football, not American football, by the way. It's what people call soccer. I call it football. Like they really big into that, and also big into basketball. Like the NBA is a big thing there, and any other. They have their own league and everything. So it's really interesting seeing how they're like they have sports and stuff on their streaming services. So it's not just one set of things. They have politics, sports, healthcare, fashion. They have they like a lot of romance stories, like just to watch the content of what they like. And of course, with Billy's all about streaming and gaming. So it's kind of there's a certain part of Billy that looks kind of like Twitch. It's really cool. It's really cool to just see how technologically advanced they are. At the same time, how their media is kind of self-contained. They're global, but they see things through a certain lens, and you can see that their world is a little bit different to ours, but it's more or less the same. Yeah, it was really cool to kind of just check them out. But anyway, that was not the point. The point is that Snyder Cut, the numbers are legit. What you see are legit numbers. Like on Migu, like it's blowing fucking Endgame to the smithereens, and it's just like going like a mad thing. And all I'm saying is the point behind this is it's such a fucking rage in China. I mean, it's dying down now. It was, I mean, it was peak time Friday. It's dying down now, but because today's day, today's a week since it was released. Okay, it's dying down now. But the thing about it is, it was in the top 10 of their movies on each site. It was featured on their sites and stuff, and it was really cool to see that. And because remember, they have a lot of Chinese content, a lot of things from China, and their stuff, what their Chinese stuff goes before everything else. It's just what it is. But they have a lot of TV shows, a lot of series. They have movies too, but it's like a lot of series and stuff. And they have their own movies and their martial arts movies and their romance movies and their espionage movies. They like spy movies and that kind of thing. It's a lot of stuff, man. It's really nice to go into them. And of course, they got the anime, tons and tons of anime and stuff. So they have entertainment for themselves quite a lot. So it's not like, like some people said, Godzilla versus Kong came in second to one of their movies. Yeah, duh. They're into their stuff. Okay. They have their own entertainment. They have their own Hollywood. They have their own system. So, I mean, but with respect to the Snyder Cut, this is my point that I've been making all along, and these are just facts. Okay. The Snyder Cut is smashing it in China. It's smashing it in China. It's making history in China. It's smashing it in China. Okay, so in streaming services, when you pool all the streaming services together, probably $200-300 million it makes it all. That's still good fucking money. Okay, that was if I'm not mistaken, Batman v Superman, they made like $500 million in China or something like that. Oh no, it wasn't so high. Probably 300 million, right? So this is fucking streaming, ladies and gentlemen. And these guys cheap, like renting movies are cheap. If it even makes anywhere near $300 million in China, that's huge. If it even makes more than, if it makes $200 million in China, that's huge because it's streaming. It's streaming. You have to understand streaming. And it means that there's a market for it. And if you put that thing in an IMAX setting or in a cinema setting on a big screen, because that's what it was made. It was designed for big screen. Oh my goodness, they're gonna buy it. And the other thing about Chinese movies, if you look at Chinese movies, they're pretty long. Like they're 3 hours long and stuff. You know, that's why they have episodic series on television. They're used to this stuff. So they're the format, like if you look at the history of Zack Snyder's movies with China, China loves Zack's movies. They love his format. They love his long movies. They really do. So, and that's why Fiona Zhang actually got befriended Zack and everything, because she's one of many fans in China who likes Zack Snyder's stuff. They really do. So what I'm saying to you guys is it's such a tremendous success in China. It's not good enough for us as fans to just say, oh, well, it could have been. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in what could have been when you still can make something happen. This is why I said we need to release the Snyder Cut. Yeah, release the Snyder Cut again. That hashtag. Release the Snyder Cut in China's cinemas. I'm going to be pushing it. Nobody else has to push it. I'm going to push it. I'm going to keep that little tick in the back of everybody's heads. And I always address it to AT&T. I always address it to HBO Max. I understand that this is an opportunity that still is present. And this is the thing that a lot of people are not getting. This is a movie that has been spoiled to crap. What I mean by that is, first of all, we had a theatrical version of it. Okay? So people know very basically what the storyline is. Now everybody's seen the movie, so it's spoiled. And yet the demand for the fucking movie is still there. Who has ever seen that before? Who? Tell me somebody. BVS sold out in 20 minutes. It's not like people don't know what BVS is. It's not like they haven't seen the movie. Some people have seen the movie many times. Why is it selling out? Come on now, people. Let's talk. This is a movie. Zack Snyder just... Everybody in the movement has seen it. Okay? And besides that, other people have seen it. And yet people keep on watching it. And two, people will want to see it in theaters. They know what they're getting to see. They know what it is. And they still want to see it in theaters. I want you guys to wake up and see what I'm saying. Like I said before, the fans have a role in this whole thing. Now, I broke down the facts. I told y'all, Toby Emmerich has had the track record of failure when it comes to market share of Warner Brothers. That's why AT&T had to buy out Warner Brothers. And even when AT&T bought it out and Toby Emmerich came on the scene, they've been losing shares, market share, every single fucking year. Okay? But IPs matter. And I can tell you, before Toby Emmerich came on the scene in 2017, market share was going up because of BVS, because of Suicide Squad, because of Wonder Woman. Market share was going up. I want you to understand what I'm saying, because a lot of y'all wasn't understand what I'm saying. IPs matter when the fans believe in the IP that generate the excitement. Now, everybody has tasted the IP of the Snyder Cut. And immediately, excitement started brewing for the future of the DC universe. Immediately. Ann Sarnoff came off and quenched some of that excitement with her statements. But at the end of the day, people are going to be super duper excited once the Snyderverse comes online. AT&T knows this. They know it. Netflix knows this. They know it. And what's so important about this is with AT&T is AT&T is the owner of Warner Brothers. In other words, Warner Brothers doesn't have to answer to their shareholders because Warner Brothers shareholders do not have the majority of shares in that company anymore. The major shareholders in the company are AT&T shareholders. And so it's on AT&T to answer to their shareholders why it is their market share has been falling for the last 4 years. That is a very important question. It's at an all-time low right now. So they have some answering to do when it comes to Warner Brothers. And instead of Time Warner, now we have Warner Media. They rebranded it. And Warner Media has to show for themselves, they'll have to answer to AT&T why it is they're losing market share every year. And we know why. Market share was going up once the Snyderverse was there. As soon as they axed Justice League and they screwed up Justice League, even with Aquaman on the scene, they couldn't recover market share. Right? So what this means is that we're talking about investors, and we as fans being excited for an IP is a good sign to investors. It's a good sign to the owners, AT&T. So what I'm saying is, in short, the Snyderverse has to be restored because the excitement that fans had for the future is not the same, and fans drive it. I mean, I respect Prime so much, but at the end of the day, it's not just the general audience and calling names. That's what the executives in AT&T say. Oh, we just need to have a black Superman and black people will come out. No. That's called labeling things and putting identity politics there and expecting people to jump on board. It doesn't work like that. You can incense people if you're not coming from their perspective. Understanding is everything. And if you lack understanding, you cannot communicate to another person and understand because you don't understand what they're saying. So quite frankly, that is going to be a major failure once again, just like Justice League was. They would be in their best, it would be in their best interest for them to, as Tyro Magna says, listen to the fans. The fans can assist you. Your job can be very easy if you just listen to your fans. This should be business 101. Your fans can assist you in leading you into correct investments because that's something they would want. And once you understand what is the fans, because a lot of times, you know what happens, and it used to happen back in the day, but now we are much more vocal. But once upon a time, you know, it was these channels who claimed they were fans of DC who were making all this noise. But I believe, again, that these people were people, okay, they have their view of how a DC universe should be. But ultimately, in the end, a lot of these big voices wasn't the majority of people of DC. It wasn't the majority of people of DC. I mean, okay, let's put it this way. Any DC fan, ask them, what you prefer? To see a rehash of Batman villains in a movie with Batman and just the same old Batman villains all over again? That's Matt Reeves' Batman. Or would you like to see Batman take on Deathstroke? I mean, ask any DC fan. If you're a DC fan, you know what you're picking, right? Which one makes you more excited, that is? Will I watch both? Hell yeah, I'll watch both. But which one makes me more excited? This is not rocket science, right? So, like I said before, you know, it's one of those things where excitement makes a difference. Excitement makes a difference. And that's what's lacking with Warner Brothers. And that's why they won't be able to pick up themselves. And you even hear the fans vocalizing that, which is not good. That's very toxic. When your fans have turned from being excited about your universe to being very depressed and toxic, that's not a good sign for your IP. When fans are talking bad about your IP, that's not good. It's bad PR. It's bad word of mouth. When you hear fans saying, man, boycott WB, oh, FWB, you know, cancel HBO, that ain't good signs. That means your customers, your clients have zero faith in you. That's not good. That just means that your IPs are shit and literally your market share is going to plummet. Okay, that's not good because the fans do play a role with respect to market shares, not just IP. Oh, Joker, we're gonna make a Joker movie. Oh, we're gonna make a Superman movie. The IP is cool. I mean, Joker, because of so many great performances by Joker, fans have always looked forward, Joker gets their attention because the Batman IP has been in front of fans since the 80s, like relentlessly. And that's the major IP that Warner Brothers has moved on. Fans are really associated with Batman. But you say Batman and Robin, and what do the fans do? They do like this. Those who know Batman and Robin movie is. That's Joel Schumacher. They'd be like, oh my God. They'd be like, oh my God, one time, right? Because, it's a Batman movie. Ain't nobody wanted to see it, right? Catwoman movie. Ain't nobody, nah, don't remind me of that. It's an IP, but IP doesn't mean everything. IP doesn't get everybody's attention just because it's an IP. So you can't just dangle out there, oh, Black Superman, and expect people to just come out because no. Especially with Warner Brothers, people have learned not to trust them. They've learned we want to see a good movie. You can tell me we're going to have Superman. You can tell me we're going to have Joker. You can tell me we're going to have a Batman movie. We just want a good movie. So the fans have become savvy to that. The fans. Now they will say, well, how about people who are not fans just going into the cinema to see a good movie? Okay. So they go in. They go into the cinema, right? And they go in and they don't like what they see. They're like, meh, when they come out. That does nothing for your IP. You want them to leave the cinema excited. You want them to leave the cinema saying, oh my God, I want to see another one. That's what you want. I got to go back and see this. You want rewatchability. Right? And first and foremost, something that can push that rewatchability, besides the critics out there giving it a good score, is the fans. Because it's the fans that always end up circulating memes and all these other things. The fans. Now, somebody can go in there, they go in, so it was an all right movie. All right, don't cut it. You can't come out of cinema. That's the worst thing in the world, to hear somebody say, oh, it was an all right movie. Nah, that's not cool. You want them to be excited when they leave the cinema. You want the general audience to be fired up for your next movie. You want that to carry over so that your market share could go up. Okay? And that is not present right now. It is not. There are some fans who are excited for, some fans have been excited and saw Mortal Kombat and was like, I watched it a couple times, yeah, okay. But for the most part, fans weren't super hyped for Mortal Kombat. I haven't seen it yet. And that's to tell you. And you know me, if you ever see me get compelled to go out to see a movie, it was a good movie, right? Or there were hopes that it would be a good movie. Sometimes I come back with a review and I'm like, oh man, the cheese. My boy Damien and I went out and we watched the movie and was like, I paid for him to watch the movie. And I was like, man. But we don't meditate on that, right? But I'm just saying, sometimes you get disappointed as a fan. You go into the cinema, you watch the movie, and you're like, well, you can apologize for the movie. He started making apologies for the movie. Anytime you start apologizing for a movie, something's it wasn't that great. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, IPs, they're very important. So what I'm saying is that why I have confidence the Snyderverse has to happen. If they don't restore the Snyderverse, the direction they're going with their market share is going to just continue. And remember, you can't just be arrested by one big win. Aquaman was a huge win for them, right? James Wan's Aquaman was a huge win for them, and it did not arrest the fall. It still kept on dipping. You need to have 2, 3 IPs that win. You gotta have win. Then you gotta have another big win. They have to be big wins to arrest the collapse. And since you need to get every single win you possibly can get, then you should go through the Snyderverse to get those wins. And any executive who was saying this is not about money, this is about power, needs to get axed immediately. They need to kick that executive out, because AT&T, you see, they go by the numbers, and they need to go by the numbers. Because think about this. All right, think about this. Just think about it. Anybody, just common sense. You've invested in a company. Why did you invest? Because your shareholders want to make profit off that company, right? So why the hell would you invest in a company and watch it run under? Why did you invest in it? You lost your money. You didn't gain money. You lost your money. That's stupid, right? So AT&T, just based on that logic, AT&T, obviously, they seem like logical people. It only makes sense to me that they have invested in this company to get profit from it. And if you can't get the profit, then you've got to reshuffle the people in there who are supposed to get you that profit. And so far for 4 years, all that we have seen from Warner Brothers mostly is just huge mess ups. And the way how they handled the situation in COVID was terrible. That's why Christopher Nolan's mad at them. We got some key directors who gross in tremendous amounts of money. They're not making the profit that they're supposed to make. And they're going to blame it on the executives. The executives need to find a way to make that thing fiscally make sense in the cinemas. You can't make excuses. If a director's saying, man, especially a director with clout like Christopher Nolan, I want this done in theaters. Make it happen. You better do that. You better not mess around. That's what he wants. You got to find a way. Don't make excuses, because you be sitting down in your cushy job. What exactly are you doing as an executive? Make it happen. And they failed to make that happen for Christopher Nolan. Okay? And you can't do that. This is a dude who did Dunkirk. This guy makes movie after movie, and he makes money making his movies. The very first movie, great movie and everything, won awards and all of that, Tenet. Tenet doesn't make money? And then you put it on the streaming service without this guy's consent? Oh my God. You gotta be kidding. You gotta be kidding me. Toby Emmerich. Right? So what I'm saying is that, these guys need to be axed, and they're going to be axed. And when they're axed, then you'll see even more explicitly movements in that direction. Now, some people say, well, DC fandom, we will see Zack Snyder stuff in DC. I don't think so. I think that's Walter Hamada's platform for what he's doing. You got to understand, the Snyderverse is not going to be like, I don't think it's going to be like an announcement or something, an official, they're going to slide it in. Because, think about this, people. Justice League will take 2 to 3 years to do. Justice League 2, there's no Justice League at all right now, right? So Justice League 2 and 3, you have to lead up to that. So there'll be a series of movies leading up to that. Even as Zack Snyder began production on Justice League right now, today, right? It's not going to be finished until 2020, I would say 2020, 2023, 2024. You know what I mean? Because yes, he has storyboards, but you got to get everything back together to do that. And yeah, he probably has most of the machinery and vehicle there, and then they have to probably repurpose and how do I say sort of modernize to take the way how he's going to do it, because he's CGI heavy, right? Most of his movies are CGI heavy, so that's where bulk of his cost comes from. But because they have some of the templates there, because they're very efficient in what they should be more efficient in what they're doing, I could see them cutting costs and it being a lot cheaper. Remember, Justice League was supposed to be $250 million. That's what it was supposed to be. All right. It ended up being a longer movie because I get to do the movie you really wanted to do, almost. And also, it cost a little bit more money, but it wasn't from Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers put out, what was it, 250, and then supposedly 30 million more dollars went into it, probably more than that, probably much more than that. So we're talking about somewhere around $330 million. It probably cost it all in all. Maybe peak out at 400 million, whatever. But at the end of the day, when AT&T invested into it, not Warner Brothers, AT&T invested into it, they put in $70 million, but they already got back their money and some, right? And so my point being that it's been successful for AT&T. So AT&T is looking at this thing like, we are continuing this. And of course, Toby Emmerich is saying absolutely not. And he's consolidated a lot of position and power to be able to sort of delay and block plays. But he can't really stop it from happening, but he can delay it and block it a bit. And try to influence the investors in the trades. So that's what he's trying to do right now. And the people under him, the people who agree with his nature, the people, who side with that kind of point of view. And again, it is what it is for now. Obviously, Zach is holding out hope on it because, like I said before, not everybody expresses that point of view. And when I saw Greg Silverman comment on that, this isn't rocket science, this should move forward. And now we're seeing clearly that it has nothing to do with the numbers. It has nothing to do with the success of the movie, because the movie has been successful without a doubt. This is about a vendetta, somebody who does not want this person to succeed, period. And they want to impose their will. That's basically what it is. Wow. It's come down to that. And that person's very caustic. And they have been literally destroying the company at the same time trying to make sure that they separate themselves from Zack Snyder. They're trying to do this. And I think it's something that Kevin Suchiara and Jeff Johns, those early guys, were also, going down that same line. And it's so weird because it's like, why, man? Why you got to be like that? This is all about power for you? What's up with that? And so ultimately, in the end, once those guys are gone, there'll be much more breathing room for the Snyderverse to continue. And right now, Toby's playing as much politics as he can. He's trying to scratch and scramble to stay there. But he's been shown the door and he's going to have to leave. And the fact that 2017 is not going away anytime soon, Gal Gadot speaking on it and the trades picking it up and talking about it so much, he's gonna get booted out of there. He's gone. So once he's gone, we're gonna see it, and we see the turning of the tide. If you just watch it, what's happening in the trades. Every now and then there's trades, the Snyderverse is dead. And you see that narrative. You see people writing specific articles to say that the Snyderverse is dead. They keep on trying. And that's Toby. That's Ann Sarnoff. That's their sentiments. That's a WB article. It. Right? Put out into the trades. And that's for the investors. Say, no, we got this under control. No, that's got to go away. And the fact that, John Stankley didn't call any numbers for, the Snyder Cut or any of the IPs, even though HBO Max was just calling at will numbers for IPs all the time. Mortal Kombat and this is green light and that. But suddenly for the Snyder Cut, nothing. Just totally tells us what's going on. It's like so obvious. So And the investors are probably seeing it as obvious, and they're not stupid people. So if I know the investors don't have time to necessarily look at everything that's going on, but if you got investors pulling out of your company, that's gonna be serious. So I'm just saying that they want to keep the investors, they want to keep their jobs. Toby's got to go. That's how that goes. All right. And I've given you guys a lot of facts. Yes, I've given you some behind the scenes stuff and speculation and stuff, but I give you guys facts though. I'm telling you guys, this is Toby Emmerich's record. He's not staying there. He's just not. He's not. He's costing the company money. He's costing investors money. You know. WB, HBO Max, and ATT should still focus more on globally releasing their movies if they want them to succeed better. They get less piratism that way. I agree. I agree. And there's a lot of people who want to see their movies, like in Mortal Kombat, etc. But again, you find that, well, HBO Max obviously is the company that they want to stream through. So they want to consolidate all of HBO and just goes directly into streaming. So that's what HBO Max is their little baby, Jason Keeler's baby. And again, he sees the Snyder Cut as a vehicle that can push HBO Max forward to some degree. Again, the DC IPs are very integral in moving forward. But will WB give up their DC IPs and diversify into other things? I don't know. But what I can say is that as of now, they have the DC IPs. Obviously, they're trying to stay afloat, which is why Walter Hamada is there. And they're trying to do, smaller IPs first, and then go into the bigger IPs. What I mean is the bigger money making movies, And so Walter Hamada's big money making movies are The Flash, Aquaman 2, hopefully, and also Black Adam and Wonder Woman 83. Wonder Woman 83 did not perform at the box office as it did before. And they're chalking it up to COVID. We'll see. I think it was just that it was not as good a movie as it was Wonder Woman, and that's the reason why it didn't do well. People will come out. We see with Godzilla versus Kong. People will come out in COVID to watch a movie if it's worth watching. If it ain't worth watching, if they release the Snyder Cut, into cinemas, people are gonna come out into cinemas to watch that. Why? Because they'll take the necessary precautions, but they'll go out and see it in theaters. Because why? Because it's a good movie and people want to see it. And I don't give a damn if it's 4 hours. They're going to come out anyway. They're going to come out and see it. And they may come out and see it multiple times. Because good movies do that. Good movies move people to do things. Good movies provide excitement. And Zack Snyder makes good movies. And he's not as costly as people make it out to be. I disagree with that. I also disagree that and here's my release of Snyder Cut jersey, by the way. And for my boy Chris Wong, shout out to Chris Wong. He says, restore the Snyderverse, and he keeps on pushing it. And we're going to keep on pushing the Restore the Snyderverse campaign. We've done it for 4 years straight, on and off. I was with the movement because of my mom. But we did it for 4 years straight. It don't cost nothing to keep on saying it. It don't cost nothing to keep on making noise. And our noise is what started this whole thing. And it's going to be our noise that's going to bring it to the ultimate conclusion. The Snyderverse is not going to be forever, at least the characters and people. I mean, it's finite. It ends at Justice League 3. It's not going on forever. I wonder why that people don't get it. Like, Justice League 2 may come out, and then Justice League 3 might come out right after it. Right? We're talking 2023, 2024, okay? Or 2025, whatever. Whatever. It's 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a build-up to it. So we have all these slates of movies that build up to that thing. Just like with Marvel, but in a different kind of way. You don't have to do things exactly like Marvel. And the problem with Warner Brothers is they never understand context. Avengers didn't just come out of the clear blue sky. To do a black Superman movie, you could do that. I mean, you could do it, but Zach has always introduced his characters before he had solo projects with them. That's why they were so successful. So when you look at, for example, in Batman v Superman, we saw Aquaman, we saw Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was featured big time, and that's what sparked off the Wonder Woman movie. The Wonder Woman movie was very successful, and then we had the Justice League piece of shit that we saw, and that sparked off the Aquaman movie. You see what I'm saying? You have to see the characters first before they get their own movies. And that Aquaman movie was tampered with, but James Wan is a good enough director that he was able to pull it off. Okay. And that's why those properties did so well. It's not just you have to introduce the characters. So they just say, "Oh, we don't have a black Superman." Yeah, but where was the prep? We had Spider-Man movie in Marvel because they prepped Spider-Man in Civil War. He popped up in Civil War, and that's why they could do the Spider-Man movie. Like, you gotta. Why is it that these guys just don't get it? Like, there's so many precepts you have to follow. It's not just throw an IP out there ad hocly. No, the IP has to get prepped. Whatever it is, it came off of a movie where it did exceptionally well and it was outstanding. Like right now, Zach has prepped the Flash movie that's upcoming. It's just a melee of a mess, so I don't know how that's going to turn out. And then he also prepped a Cyborg movie. He prepped a New Gods movie. He prepped a Green Lantern movie, right? Even though we didn't get to see the Green Lantern. And he prepped a Martian Manhunter movie. And he prepped a Batman versus Deathstroke movie. All of those movies he prepped in Justice League. In other words, you introduce the characters. You get people to relate to them. You get people excited about them. And then you do your movie. That way, they're acquainted with the characters somewhat. They remember the characters somewhat. And because of that, they want to see the character. There's none of that with Warner Brothers. They just straight out the super pets. I'm like, what? Right? Aquaman was good. So Aquaman 2 should be riding off of that Aquaman wave. And then seeing Aquaman again in Justice League, just all of that just helps Aquaman. The IP. The IP, when people are excited about the IP, people will want to see Aquaman. People are still excited to see the Flash somewhat because of what the Flash did in Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut benefited the Flash movie, even though it's going to probably be a load of shit. It benefited the Flash movie. You know what I mean? And hopefully it turns out to be a great movie. I just don't see how it will be. But hey, whatever. Maybe I don't have confidence in the director. I'm hoping for the best. But just the way out, just everything around that just gives me a bad taste in my mouth. It's just like with the Batman movie and Matt Reeves is doing. It is a bad taste in my mouth because I know what happened to make Matt Reeves get this movie, how they sabotaged Batfleck, and everybody was talking about the Batman as a movie for Batfleck, and then all of a sudden the Batman with Matt Reeves just gave me a salty taste in my mouth. I know Matt Reeves is a very good director and everything, but it was like, and he's so passionate about the project, and I'm like, this was never supposed to be yours though. It's like you took it from Ben, and like I know Ben and Matt get along pretty good and everything. And it's just like that's just me personally, again, just emotionally and personally internalizing it, and that's important because if the fans feel a sort of kind of way about it, I mean, I saw his the intro to it is just very intriguing. It's a really fun looking movie in terms of just the way how it looks and everything, but it's like I can't get that bad taste out of my mouth. How things went down for him to get the movie, get the IP. And I know this is Hollywood and that's how it goes, but it's just one of those bad feelings. I'm more curious about Ben Affleck's Batman that we're not getting to see because we know the Batman and everything, and we know what Ben brings to the table with him, than it is, Matt Reeves' new thing. It's like saying, all right, we're going to replace this dude. The new guy, and everybody's like, we're not over this other guy, though. I always think about, when Ben was cast as Batman, and they were like, so wait. They're not using Christopher Nolan's Batman? Why are they not using, people were attached to that Batman. It was sold on that Batman. And I think that's some of, I guess, what's going through my head, but it's just also the events that took place that just, I know they did Ben wrong, and I just don't like that. I guess a lot of fans don't like that, and it's a bitter taste in my mouth. And so some people are excited about the Batman movie, and I am not. It's just what it is. But yeah, the fans matter. In the fans matter. We matter in terms of IPs and excitement for IPs. If the fans of a movie don't like the movie, the general audience, generally speaking, they'll go watch it, but they won't be into it and excited about it. You think of, whether rightly or wrongly, you think of Star Wars. Made a ton of money. All Star Wars movies generally make a ton of money. The fans did not like The Last Jedi. They did not like it. They hated it. Right? The Force Awakens, the fans was like, okay. But then The Last Jedi just was like, oh, hell no. Right? And then The Last Skywalker, fans were still salty about it, right? About The Last Jedi. So there was like salt everywhere. I still have not watched The Force Awakens. I did watch The Last Jedi. I thought it was all right. All right is not great. Even though I think I said it was a great movie. I thought so too. But real Star Wars fans or Star Wars fans, they just did not like it. And I was like, okay. And that's how the general audience would feel. They're like, well, I thought it was a good movie. Okay. You don't go back and watch. How many of us have gone back? In fact, did I even go into the cinema and watch that thing? I didn't go into the cinema and watch it. But most of us, if you're not a fan, you kind of, because the fans make so much noise, you kind of started to see things like how the fans going, okay, you guys kind of know what's going on. So, all right. That's what the general audience will do. And it could either incentivize them to go back see the thing again. I don't really see a general audience go against the fans. Let's just put it that way. If the fans say, this thing is crap, you don't really see the general audience say, oh no, this is a masterpiece. You don't hear a general audience say that. They don't go against the fans. They'll be like, well, I thought it was all right. And then so slowly but surely they'll change their narrative. Right? So all I'm saying is that the fans do matter. You guys do matter. I've been saying it from day one, even before the Snyder Cut, even before all of that. We got that stuff. You guys matter. And it was I almost knocked my phone down. God, good God. And it was proven, and it was proven that you guys matter because you guys, the Snyder Cut's dedicated to you guys, if you haven't realized. You guys did it. You guys do have power. You do have leverage. And you can shift how an IP is viewed. And as a result, how successful an IP can be. And you make IPs important. And IPs are everything for a company. And so that's where your power lies. And so that's why Dave Chappelle, because of you fans, was able to talk to Warner Brothers through Comedy Central and through through Comedy Central. I think I got my thing, and get back ownership after so many years of his properties because you guys, he told you not to buy another thing from Comedy Central that's of his, and you didn't, and it broke them like zero value. And because of that, he was able to get back his IPs and everything, and he was able to go ahead now and dictate his own destiny. You guys do that. It's not, you have a lot of power as fans, and you just don't realize how powerful you are. Okay? The fans is what gave Dave Chappelle back his properties eventually. He told them what to do, they did it, and he got back his properties. Okay? So you are the key. You know, Lewis is the key. You are the key to a successful franchise and to, well, in this case, restoring the Snyderverse. But if you don't believe and you lose faith and you lose hope, then it won't happen because you'll stop talking, you'll stop making noise, and you'll stop bringing excitement to the IP, right? So I just say all of this just to say that Pikachu says, finished my Mortal Kombat review script. Thanks for the company while I wrote it. Video coming sometime later this week. Yeah. So that's why I said to you guys all along, and that Restore the Snyderverse is almost, I guarantee, it's like done. You guys just keep on doing what you're doing. It's going to happen. No matter what, you know. And again, there's nothing wrong with knowing the reality of the situation as it stands right now. As it stands right now, not a chance in hell. Not with Toby Emmerich there. It's not a chance in hell. Toby Emmerich's going to do everything in his power to make sure that it doesn't happen. And the people who support him. But his time is limited. And therein lies. And that's just the way how things go in life. Sometimes you can't really call it. Like you can't know if it's Toby Emmerich's going to leave or whatever. And let me just make this abundantly clear. None of us know what the future holds. Anything can happen, right? We don't really know. But my point is that my arguments are strong ones. Okay. As Zach would say, and which he basically says, and he keeps with the philosophy of his films, nobody really knows for sure what's going to happen in the future. Nobody, right? Future's unknown. But what we can do is we can keep on continuing down a certain path that has proven to be successful before. Yeah. So when I say the Snyderverse is a guarantee, or that the Snyderverse is going to happen, which may sound like a euphemism to some people, it's based on logic and reasoning. So it's not just based on feelings, which is cool. But it's also based on logic and reasoning and just looking at and analyzing the situation and watching at what's happening in the media, watching what's happening around me. I'm not an insider. I listen to people who have inside information or claim they have. I'm not an insider, but it's just somebody on the outside who's observing things and observing how things go. Maybe I'm 100% wrong, and yet the Snyderverse is restored and how I'm observing things. But I just like to put it out there based on the information that is there. Why would you keep somebody in a company who under them, the company has lost so much money and market share? Why would you do that? They're obviously on borrowed time and they keep on making bloopers and they keep on making bad decisions. So why would they keep Toby Emmerich? We all know Toby Emmerich. It's not very fond of Zack Snyder. We know what it is. It's out there. So it stands to reason him out the way. I'm not saying he's the only factor, but he is one of the major players. He's a very powerful player who is able to, fuel that kind of conflict and therefore that resistance to what would otherwise play out much differently. If you do understand what I'm saying, I don't think of Zack Snyder as a guy who tries to go down corrupt ways and corrupt pathways. I don't see him like that kind of guy. He seems like a stand-up, decent guy. And so as a result, I just think that what he's been saying is absolutely true. Warner Brothers does not want him, at least that particular set of executives in Warner Brothers right now is not interested in pursuing a future with him. But that can change. Situations are very dynamic, they're very flux-like, and things can change. And so that is where he's speaking 100% truth about what the company at present, their stance, certain members of the company, not the company itself, but because they're key members, represent the company, think about and view him. And like he says, when calmer, when calmer sentiments and calmer reasoning prevails, I think they'll realize how important he is to the company and his brand and what he brings to the table and what's very special about what he brings to the table. And I think he is basically saying he doesn't know what's going to happen, but with respect to how uh, how the franchise should be pursued, not only is he willing to do it, but he's also saying that just simple common sense and just looking at the data that's in front of them should be able to inform them that this is an important IP that should stay for a little longer. I'm not saying the Snyderverse won't come to an end because I believe that Zack Snyder's arc, the set of movies he has, it has an end. Okay, it has an end. His storytelling has an end. Okay, so there is an end to the Snyderverse. The question is, and obviously, the actors can't live on forever. So there's an end to the Snyderverse. The question are is and again, this can flow with Hamada's plan. J.J. Abrams' universe is supposed to come out somewhere, right after Black Adam, which is somewhere 2020, let's say 2023, 2024. Snyderverse could be wrapped up by then. And again, the Hamadaverse could be running along as it's running along. Again, that's up to Walter Hamada, how he, proceeds and so on. Now, if his goal is to try and cul-de-sac the Snyderverse in his Flash movie, I wish him the best of luck. But if his idea, because things are always in flux, is to sort of acknowledge it and sort of allow it to run its course, yet sort of direct things into his universe. So he's running along his universe, and it's running around its universe, and it concludes itself in its own way. I think that will work tremendously well for Walter Hamada, because it says, okay, it's a multiverse, so that branches off, this branches off, and we're going to follow this line here while that's branching off. Simple. But it's very hard for me to believe that they've been working on this script with the Flash and working along with Cyborg. Cyborg is an integral piece of that script, and they just excise Cyborg from the script. It's hard for me to think that the Flash movie is going to be a good movie, sadly. And particularly the fact that also the director of that movie, the stuff that he has been hinting to us and showing us is not very exciting so far. I'm not saying that it might change our minds down the future, but as of now, it's had a rocky start. It's got a rocky start. So hopefully, maybe things work out. But as everybody realizes by now, that movie looks like it's a hot mess. So Walter Hamada, man, bro, you should just scrap the Flash project and just skip on to Aquaman and Wonder Woman, 3, and just skip the Flash project, period. But they're rolling on it, so good luck with that. Wish them the best. So that is why I believe the Snyderverse will be restored. I have not changed my mind. I will not change my mind on this topic. And there's just way too much evidence out there to support restoring the Snyderverse. It's way too much. And I believe it's going to be restored. My focus right now is I'm putting pressure on Warner Brothers through AT&T, through uh, HBO Max, to get the Snyder Cut now into theaters. That's the next move. Get it into theaters. Get it particularly into Chinese theaters first, see how it does in China, and then we could go to phase two and probably sometime next year put it into theaters in other parts of the world or into the United States, whatever. Put it into select cinemas in the United States, see how it does. I know there's going to be a charity event and raising money for charity. Hopefully, people can put up money for that. If I had some way to get my money across to the U.S., I would do it. I would definitely do it. But honestly speaking, man, this thing needs to see cinemas. It needs to be in its full glory. Zach wants to do the Justice is Gray version. I also want to see the colored version as well. And I definitely want to see this in cinemas before the end of this year. If they can do it in a global way, great. We'll see what happens with the charity events first, and that does well, and that's like a full house. I should move on to try and put it into cinemas globally. You know what I'm saying? I haven't watched it Mortal Kombat. I have watched pieces of Invincible. I think I'm going to watch Invincible. The actor who played um, the Commissioner Gordon, he actually was the main protagonist in the movie, in the series, and then he became the major antagonist all of a sudden, Omni Man. You know who the actor is. If you guys know who the actor is, just put it in the comment section. I can't remember his name right now. He was Commissioner Jim Gordon in Snyder Cut. And excellent stuff. I mean, I thought Invincible was good, and it's pretty good. Now, some of it's really graphic and really gory and stuff, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. You know, I'm not interested in Jupiter Legacy. It doesn't look great, and it's kind of like sort of like Invincible to some degree. And then the other one was what was it? They did three of them, right? It was Jupiter Legacy, Invincible, and something else. I can't remember which one it is. Picochet says, just wait until the evil Freddie Mercury comes in later in the Invincible story. He makes J.K. Simmons' character look like a saint. Okay. But J.K. Simmons' character was actually, he was just kind of raising a child of his race, right? He was raising them on Earth so that they could take over Earth and then have it under one reign, which was very interesting. And I guess his love for his son or something kind of just got him. And he just got out of there. He was like, "All right, screw this shit," because he seemed to have some sort of compassion inside of his heart. It kind of reminds me of the Kryptonians. He's kind of like a Kryptonian, except they had a little bit more tact and they were a little bit slyer. And it kind of leads to, we know that in Justice League, Dev-Am and Supergirl, or Dev-Am and Kara-El, are somewhere on Earth, right? One or two of them are walking about Earth, so that should be an interesting movie in and of itself as well. So that's what I got for you guys right now. I'm gonna go check out my boy Picochet's is check out his his video. I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm gonna go probably do some work outside because I stayed up all night last night. So I'm just gonna try and move around, make myself busy in the house. We're locked down again, completely locked down, so that we can't sell anything. And there's no selling commerce, only essential services and groceries. So we're completely locked down. So this is one of the ways why you guys see me doing so many of these videos, is because I'm basically locked down for now. But yeah, people, I'm not against, like I said before, I'm not really against the Hamadaverse. I am for the Snyderverse. And no, it's not something that's going away anytime soon. We're gonna I think Ricochet says, I say that having read the comic and knowing where the next seasons could, would, should be going forward with. That's really awesome, man. I'm gonna try and read the comic as well. I like that it's not a DC or Marvel property. I like that it's a different property, and it's great that it's on Amazon. The only thing I would say is that's an animated version. I see that Mark Miller tried to do something on Netflix with um, Jupiter Legacy, and again, it's cool. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I just that's not my thing. The way how they do the live action just doesn't do it for me. you know. But yeah, that's what we got for now. Um, there was another one that came out. You guys know? Oh, Marvel's The Eternals. Now, you know what's interesting? Do you guys know that actually Henry Cavill he did an Eternals run as well. He did, I think it was more the Grecian classical Eternals. It wasn't Marvel Eternals. So that's kind of cool. Henry Cavill actually did the Eternals before, he got landed with the Superman gig. So that's also cool. Henry Cavill, from what I've gathered, still has one more project on his contract. So he has to do one more thing with respect to Superman on his contract. Now, I was hearing a lot of people saying that, you know, one of the setbacks towards Zack Snyder's Justice League would be paying actors. I need to go to sleep now. It's almost midnight, and I have work in the morning. Yeah, man, have a good one, man. Thanks for listening. Uh, I don't like again, like I said, from what I understand, it's not just money. Okay, obviously these actors have some resume behind them now, but I don't think it's the money that's the issue with Henry Cavill, from what I've gathered. And it seems as though because Henry's passionate about different projects. I mean, from what I've gathered, he jumped on the Witcher project because he just wanted to do the Witcher. He really wanted to. When he got the Superman gig, Superman was something he always wanted to do. So I don't think it's just money. I think it's the conditions that he's trying to prevent a situation which happened with Justice League 2017 from happening again. And I think that's why he's negotiating the way he's negotiating. I don't think it's just money for these actors. I think they get paid, and I'm sure he's getting paid handsomely these days. And I don't think that that should be something that's too much of a big issue. I think paying somebody their worth is important. Of course, Warner Brothers will say, "Oh, they don't have money," but I don't believe that. I just think that the major hurdle for Justice League 2 and 3 has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with, how costly it would be to produce or paying actors. I think those are minor things. When there's a will, there's a way. I just believe studio under Toby Emmerich wants to get rid of Zack Snyder. That's it. And I remember in the trades those exact words. We need to get rid of Snyder. Snyder is destroying the universe and blah, 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 while Warner Brothers was just gaining market share like crazy. Yeah. And that sort of sentiment, that toxic sentiment, has been there and lingering around, even though weaker now than it ever has been. And people are seeing through Zack Snyder's action in his movies that he's the best thing that ever happened to Warner Brothers in recent times. It's the reverse is true. The execs and Jeff Johns and all these guys, they have been destroying Warner Brothers. They have a track record to show it. Okay. So time for Toby Emmerich to leave, and once he's left the building, I think we'll have a better chance of seeing the Snyderverse happen. That's basically it. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I am Christ, I am Disciple. We spent an hour, 49 minutes, and 52 seconds talking about something that we love. Next time you see me, I'm gonna talk about the Snyder Cut numbers in China. I gave you guys a breakdown of it. And also, the next time you see me, we'll be talking about some of the good things about the Snyder Cut, because we still have to talk about those DCEU movies one after the other. I may watch them, I may not watch them. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to talk about them, and we'll have a stream where you guys can talk about each DCEU movie. We'll start from Man of Steel, work our way to the most recent one, which was the Snyder Cut. And then we could talk about also the upcoming DC movies, and not just how you feel about them, but how you think, based on the excitement for them, you think you're going to rate them as what you would like to see. And then we can also talk about some of the upcoming Snyderverse movies that are possible. We have to look ahead. You can't just be thinking about when this happens. You look ahead. What does the Snyderverse? What will the Snyderverse look like? So the Snyderverse will not be fully restored until Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 comes out. But in the interim, in that space of time, a number of movies can be made. And you have to ask yourself, what are these movies that you think should be made and should be made sooner than later? And there is a viable market for. So that's the way how I would approach things. And I can tell you straight out right now, when it comes to China and how China received the Snyder Cut, I would say one of the best things that they should be working on, and they should be working on right now as we speak, is the Ryan Choi Atom movie in China. That's gonna make noise. That's gonna make some tremendous noise. That's not token service. That's great stuff. And if you can, get somebody who knows Chinese culture very well, or a Chinese director or something, and get it done, that would be fantastic, because China really digs China stuff, right? So you may ask yourself, well, why didn't the Chinese actor Marvel had, why isn't that tremendously successful? The project that they're doing right now with him, why it's not so hot up in China? Because did they do it in China? That's the first question. And the second question is there a Chinese director in this thing? It's just different questions you got to ask yourself. Is it just that they have a Chinese actor in there, but they're not really giving tribute to China's culture and what China is, and how the people of China are? You see, you got when you think about it's not about identity politics. It's not about having a token guy. Oh, we have a Latino Supergirl. Oh, we have a black Superman. Oh, we got a Chinese Atom. No, it's not about that. It's about showing the beauty and the difficulties that people go through in their culture. And I love how Zach did it with, not so much that culture, sorry, my bad. The character, we got to be true to the character as well. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people, so anyway, I just saying there's a market for that. And particularly because China, basically, what dominates their markets in terms of entertainment is their own content. Why not? I mean, it's visionary. Zach, this is all the way back in 2016, 2017, Zach was thinking this, right? Brilliant. And so let's see it. These execs keep on sabotaging things that are just visionary. And why are they doing that? Why are they the impediment? Why is Toby Emmerich such an impediment? Are you working for Marvel? Are you working for Marvel, Toby Emmerich? Jeff Johns? Okay, are you working for Marvel? Are you trying to sabotage Warner Brothers and run it down into the ground so that Marvel can get all the ideas and move with it? I just don't understand. Like, these are things, and don't tell me that the comic books, they're similar to that. Nah, that's too much coincidence. Don't do that. Don't tell me that. That's not true. It's a lie. Okay? How do I know this? We look at how Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman, sparked civil war. They were not going to go the versus route. Okay, so let's be real, man. Let's be real. They still to this day, all these other directors start copying things that Zack Snyder did back in 2016 with Batman v Superman. But it's such a bad movie. Come on, man. Get out of here with that nonsense. Get out of here with this nonsense. People getting ideas about how to do superhero films because of Batman v Superman. And I'm talking the theatrical cut. I forget about the ultimate cut. Zack showed so many different ideas and how to view these characters and how to do shots. And come on, man, like for real. You know how much directors were inspired by Zack Snyder and his take? Man, come on, man. So at the end of the day, Warner Brothers was hating on their own product since way back then. And it's all good. But clearly, visionary director, cool guy to get along with and work with. And we're going to see that Snyderverse be restored. I think Zack Snyder continues to be hopeful about it. I am obviously very hopeful about it. And like I said before, it's like a certainty for me. It's just a matter of time. I've seen what we have to go through with the Snyder Cut. Do understand this. There was an actual cut of the movie out there, but Warner Brothers was claiming it didn't exist. You're going to tell me now that we've gotten something that was never supposed to see the light of day at all. And it was actually there, but it was now we get to build from scratch. That is to say, there's nothing there right now, but we get to build from scratch because of that thing that didn't exist, supposedly. It's one thing when you don't have something, right? It's not there, okay? It's another thing when the thing is there, but people are lying and saying it's not there. That means it's harder to get that thing than when there's nothing there. So what Prime says, I'm saying the reverse of it. Prime is saying because there's nothing there, it's going to be hard to get it. I'm saying because there's nothing there, and the fact that the fandom, you got to look at precedent. The fandom fought for something that was claimed to be not there and got that. That's harder to do than there's nothing there, but you're coming off of something that was so good that you want more. It's much easier because there's evidence. Remember, Justice League was supposedly 2017 was supposedly Zack Snyder's film. So we're coming off of that. And Warner Brothers saying that's the film to getting his cut. That's damn hard to do because you're talking about something that it didn't bomb, but it flopped at the box office, okay? It's seen negatively. And you're saying there's something better out there and it exists, and they're saying there's nothing else. That's hard to do because you're going an uphill climb against negativity. Whereas now we're coming off of a huge high where positive things are happening all the time. Everybody's on board more or less that this thing was really good. So make another one. That's easier to do any day, anytime than having to work uphill from something negative to something positive. So all of that just tells me, I'm absolutely, for me, it's a certainty. There's no if, buts. All I want to know is the format. And right now, for me, it's about pressing for the format. Get it in the cinemas. We want to now gain ground. Toby Emmerich's on the retreat, and we're the aggressor in the mental battle, in the mental war. We're the aggressor. And we're saying, you know what? We were going to just settle with HBO Max and having the Snyderverse on HBO Max. But you know what? We want it in theaters now. We want it in theaters because what did Warner Brothers say? Oh, that's never going to see theaters. That's never going to see China. Well, guess what? We're going to ask for it to be in China, and we're going to ask for it to be in theaters, and you're going to give us it. And I know it sounds crazy, but because you gain ground, you have to know, you have to understand where you're at, and then you have to push it. Push it. We want it in theaters. We wanted it in China. And we won the Adam movie. Yeah, baby. Nothing's wrong with that. And we're going to ask for it. AT&T out there. Shout out to AT&T. Without AT&T, this would not be possible. Sounds like without God, this wouldn't be possible. Without AT&T, this would not have been possible. But, you know, our things sometimes come together because of faith. Faith, Alfred. Faith. So, faith, hope, and love. Once you got those three, you got something really powerful. And we love the Snyder Cut. We have faith that we'll see it because our hope is assured by the fact that we got some support. And so it's not a one-way street. It's not Zack Snyder's all by himself and the fans. No. We got the general audience that's been talking about it and wanting a sequel. We've had people in AT&T who support that and want it to happen. And we have people in HBO Max that support it and want it to happen. And we also have people in Warner Media who support it and want it to happen. And we have people internationally with Warner Brothers who support it and want it to happen. And we're seeing them express themselves in those various formats. And don't get it wrong, they also want Mortal Kombat to succeed and prosper. They also want the Hamadaverse to succeed and prosper. We are not in the business of, as fans, of wanting to see things fail. No, why? Why would we want to see things fail? We want everybody to be happy. I like Jim Lee for that. Jim Lee is supportive. I was looking, I didn't actually watch the video, but there's some stuff on Warner Brothers about Batman and some other things, and Jim Lee is just relishing in that. You can tell Jim Lee really enjoys DC Comics and the DC lore, and you can see him just, you know, putting everything on display, and that's what it is. I'm not going to stop supporting. I'm not going to stop supporting DC properties and DC stuff because, you know, I just want the Snyderverse and the Snyderverse alone. Oh no, we can't be like that. We have to be able to enjoy the properties and enjoy the IPs. And it, you know, if somebody didn't do a good job of representing the IP, we chuckle, we laugh. You know, we talk about probably what they could have done better, and we move on. We don't hate. We don't hate. Don't F Warner Brothers. Cancel HBO. I get where you're coming from, but there's no room for hate, man. There's no room for hate, as Diana said, and as some of the actors and even Zack Snyder said. We have to be kind. So even though we break down the situation, we know what it is. We know the truth of the situation. We don't have to be negative. We don't have to be like that. We don't have to be dirty and vindictive and trying to spiteful. We don't have to be that, because those things do not help you in life. They don't. They only make you a sour, sick, ill person, ultimately in the end. But you can talk about your love. You can defend what you love, you know, and enjoy what you love. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's not a sin in going about saying restore the Snyderverse. There's nothing wrong with that. You're a fan. That's what you're supposed to be doing. If that's what you love, then speak it. There's nothing wrong with that. It has its purpose. It has a strategic purpose, and go ahead and do that. But don't give yourself into negativity and depression. I understand, because I myself do the same thing, but at the same time, we can press on and be positive about things. And let's celebrate the Snyder Cut. Let's celebrate the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Let's keep on doing good things. That's what Hope's all about. It's about the
potential for people to do good things and focus on good things. You know what I mean? And we speak about injustices and stuff. We make sure that people know about them, but also we focus on all the positive and good things out there. And there's a lot of positive and good things out there. I do recommend people watch Invincible. It's pretty graphic though. And y'all might say, "Oh man, you like a lot of graphic, violent movies." Yes, it's pretty graphic. I think, though I'm kind of intrigued by it. There's a lot more fighting and stuff. It's not as philosophical as say Batman v Superman or even Justice League. I think Justice League is way toned down compared to Invincible. I mean, in terms of graphic violence and stuff. It reminds me of some of those manga and even the Matrix to some degree, how graphically violent it is. But it's still something I thought you guys should think about and consider. I like how the superheroes in that Invincible, they get damaged and injured. And there's like real life consequences to things like, destructions to cities, people actually dying and really getting dismembered and injured really badly. So all those things I think were just beautiful. And it's all from Zack Snyder stuff, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. People see real life consequences, and to see it in a comic book movie, to see it in a comic book series, in a cartoon is something, because you don't usually see these things in cartoons. So, all right, people, man, I'm gonna catch you guys later. I am Christ I am disciple. If you guys like what it says, don't forget you can like, share, subscribe, and don't ever invest in the money I spent about 2 hours on this. It was great. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace. Bye.